What's up, everybody? So I recently started to do a deep dive into Richarld Allen's case. Richarld Allen, of course, was convicted of murdering two teenage girls in Delphi, Indiana. Now, this case was global news. This was all over the world relatively soon after it happened, but they didn't actually arrest Richarld Allen for 5 years after the murder. These murders happened in 2017, and Richarld Allen was arrested in 2022. So it took a long time for them to get their man, or who they say is their man. Now, since I've started doing videos on this case, I will say there's a lot more people out there that believe Richarld Allen is innocent than I thought there was. Like I said, while not completely new to the case, I'm still very much doing a ton of research to learn as much about it as I can. But I was surprised to see how many people believe Richarld Allen is innocent, and a bunch of them sent me DMs, wrote some comments on reasons why they think Richarld Allen is innocent, and we're going to go over some of them today. I have been doing videos going on everything that was being printed in the press at the time everything was going on, but today we're going to talk about reasons why, or these reasons why people believe Richarld Allen is innocent. First off, of course, is Richarld Allen putting himself at the scene of the crime. That's a big one for a lot of people that think he's guilty. He was there. He admits to being there. A lot of people that think that Richarld Allen is innocent state the obvious. Why would he put himself at the scene of the crime? Now, his wife was the one that told him, I can't remember if he called or went to the police station in person. Either way, he did tell the police he was at the location, not necessarily the scene of the crime. He was at the location that the crime happened on the day that it happened. Yeah, that's pretty damning no matter what way you look at it. But who would go to the police and say, yeah, I was there the day the girls were killed, around the same time that they were killed? Now, he could have very easily lied to his wife, say that he called, say that he went down there in person, and just not done anything. But he actually went. That would have been the smart thing to do if he was indeed guilty of the murder. To be like, yeah, I went down to the police, told them, they said not to worry about anything. But he actually went and told the police, told an investigator or whoever that, yeah, I was there on that same day. I can totally understand why some people that believe he's innocent think, why would you do that? That seems crazy if you actually did it. Another big thing are all the confessions that Richarld Allen did while in prison. People that think he's innocent think he gave these confessions because of the situation that he was in. He was in solitary confinement for something like 13 months, and I guess in the state of Indiana, you're not supposed to be in solitary confinement for more than 30 days. It's also supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So unless he was doing really bad things while in prison, why would you have him in solitary confinement for 13 months if it is indeed innocent until proven guilty? I totally get that side of things as well. This guy was wanting to be found guilty, not this guy, the state wanted this guy to be guilty before the trial even started. A lot of people think that he broke while in solitary confinement, confessed over and over and over and over again just to get out of the situation he was in, just to get out of solitary confinement. Once again, I can understand thinking like, if I say that I did it, I'm going to get out of this situation and we'll figure it out later. Or maybe you just don't care anymore. For the first bunch of months, he was only allowed to see a psychiatrist or something like that. He had no contact with his wife. So maybe he was just like, I did it. Let me out of here. I don't care anymore. I can't take it. Another reasonable thing for people to believe that he's innocent to think. Also, none of Richarld Allen's DNA was found at the crime scene. Also, none of the girls' DNA were found on any of Richarld Allen's clothes, in his car, at his home, anywhere. There's no DNA evidence linking Richard Allen to this crime. So that's another. I mean, he could have worn gloves. He could have covered up. There's a lot of ways to avoid your DNA, but that would mean he would have been planning this. And a question I have: what was Richard Allen? How did he know? Was he just out, or whoever? Was he just out looking for a couple of people to kill and just happened to stumble upon the two girls, Abby and Libby? Did he not, was he following them for some time? Like, how did he know that they were going to be on that trail that day? Or was it just an unfortunate timing of circumstances for the girls that they ran into somebody that was looking to murder somebody? Because there was no evidence of an assault, there was no evidence of that, even though the girls were stripped down, and one girl was stripped down naked, and her clothes was put on the other girl, while the other girl was left naked. It's really strange. Really strange. But how did they end up there at the same time? Was it just a coincidence of timing? Also, a phone analyst said someone plugged something in to Libby's phone, like a headphone jack, after Richard Allen was supposed to have already left the scene of the crime. It was said to have been done a couple hours later, after Richard Allen would have already left, or whoever committed the murder would have already left the scene of the crime. Some people think the bodies were removed and then placed there because they did allegedly search that area the night that the girls were killed and didn't find anything, but they did find them the next day. Maybe they just missed them. Maybe it was too dark when they were searching. There's a whole pile of reasons of why they could have missed the girls. But who was using or plugging something in to the girl's phone hours after Richard Allen would have already left the scene of the crime if he committed the murders? The sticks that were placed on the bodies were moved to the side and not collected right away. And they were never tested, or at least according to this, they were never tested for DNA. If any of this stuff is wrong, please correct me in the comments, because I'm still learning. I'm just going by now what other people are saying. So the sticks were just taken off the bodies, moved to the side, and they weren't tested for DNA. Somebody would have had to have placed those sticks on the bodies. So maybe there was some DNA left on those sticks if they would have tested them right away before removing them off the body. What else is here? There was a hair found around Abby's finger, but it was never tested for DNA for 7 years after the crime. It did end up belonging to a family member of Abby, but why wouldn't you have tested it for DNA right away? And then there's the bullet. How did a bullet from Richard Allen's gun get to the scene of the crime? Now, the defense expert said that it did, while the prosecution's expert said it did match Richard Allen's gun, the defense, of course, I mean, and this is pretty obvious that this would happen, the defense said that it didn't match Richard Allen's gun. The prosecution said it matched, but could only match it after they fired it. That's when they said it matched Richard Allen's gun. But the bullet that was found at the scene wasn't fired. So they're comparing an unfired bullet to a fired bullet. I don't know anything about ballistics. Maybe some of you do. Is that a thing? Can you compare an unfired bullet to a fired bullet and say that it matches? Seems weird to me. And the bullet itself was never photographed in place. There's so many. Those were the big things. There's so many different things. Those were the big things. I'm just seeing if there's anything else here that I missed. Those were the big things that people so far have told me that's the reason why they believe Richard Allen is innocent. And while I have no idea, I'm still, like I said, I'm still researching. I can definitely see why some people think that there was some shoddy police work. There was some shoddy investigating. Imagine if investigators and police just did everything the way they were supposed to the first time around. There would be the situations, there'd be nobody making videos like this. There'd be no documentaries on the police being like, why didn't you do this? Why did you do this? How come this wasn't tested? Why was this tested but not that tested? Like, it's wild that almost in every case, if everybody did the job that they were supposed to do as they are supposed to do it, there wouldn't be really any questions on, or at least there would be a lot less. Like, if they would have tested the hair early, if you can match an unfired and fired bullet, the way the confessions were given, he just didn't go into the room like, yep, I did it. He was in solitary confinement for 13 months and then confessed. Like, he broke. Who wouldn't go crazy in solitary confinement for 13 months? So there are a lot of sketchy things. What do you think? What do you think of these reasons? Are there more? Let me know. Leave some comments below. I hope you're having a good day, and I will see you again soon.